Hello and welcome to Legal Angle. We have a legal advocate on board, Mr. Ameet Mehta. He is one of the most eminent legal advocates in the legal domain of our country. He is also known to be an author, a writer for various books like Conveyance Deed and the famous book Stamp Duty Ready Reckoner. An engineering by graduate, also an MBA in finance from Leeds University, London, with over 17 years of work experience in the legal domain of real estate. The only show in India that caters to real estate legal problems and gives you a guaranteed solution. 80% of the NRIs in United Arab Emirates want an apartment in India, with Bengaluru and Mumbai being the preferred choices. Well, this episode is going to focus on NRI investments, their legalities and formalities. With me on sets, I have the managing partner of Solis Lex, who has an office pan-India and also international in the following countries: US, Tokyo, London, Singapore, Israel and Dubai. Hello and welcome to the show, sir.
Hi.
Sir, you know, it's always said an NRI wants to invest a property in India. What are the kinds of legalities and formalities involved behind them in investing a property in India?
See, if you see an NRI, there are three types of NRIs. One is a PIO, that is a person of Indian origin.
Correct.
One is a overseas citizen of India.
Correct.
And one is called the NRI, that is non-resident Indian.
Correct.
Now, each of them have a particular right and a system to go and procure or buy a property in India. In general, every NRI can buy a residential as well as a commercial property in India. There are legal formalities which have to be routed through either Reserve Bank of India or under the FEMA regulations, and most of them have to comply with the Indian regulations. So other than the residential and commercial properties, they have a lot of restrictions if they have to buy a property which is of agricultural nature or which is of Adivasi plots. So other than that, they can regularly transact in India.
They can regulatory transact in India. So they can, NRIs can regulatory transact freely in India, leaving the agricultural plots and the Adivasi farmlands. All right, takes me to my next question. When it comes to legal formalities of NRIs, is the procedure same for the residents in India as well as the NRIs?
Yes, the procedure is same. Now there are two types of transaction: a person investing in India and a person taking money out of India.
So there are two procedures. One is a person investing in India and another is a person taking the money out of India.
Out of India. The Reserve Bank of India has now relaxed the regulations.
Correct.
Earlier the provisions was they can invest up to $75,000 outside India.
That's a big amount.
Now the provisions have been changed to $1,25,000.
Oh wow.
Which is roughly about 75 lakh rupees.
Correct.
So in a particular year, an NRI can invest up to 75 lakhs outside India.
Okay.
He can take the money out of India. So there is no per cap as far as investing money within India. So he can bring as much money as possible within the Indian laws. If the property, if he is taking outside India, then the maximum cap per year is 75 lakhs.
Correct.
But if the property value is say maybe 3 crores or 4 crores, then in the particular year, he will be only able to transact for 75 lakhs.
Okay.
And the balance he will have to do in 2 other installments of next year and a year after that.
I see. Well, this is going to be one of the questions that we have got on sets. We've got via mail. You know, a lot of our viewers have been watching our show, and one interesting NRI has put in a question saying that, you know, if he wants to sell his property, you know, what are the kinds of processes and legal formalities that he has to go through?
If the person who is Indian origin and he is staying, say in USA, example, and the person staying in UAE, there are slightly different laws.
Okay.
The reason a person staying in USA could be a citizen in USA.
Correct.
He may be having origins in India. His father, mother, grandmother, grandfather, or his spouse may be Indian.
Okay.
But a person who is staying in UAE, he is not a citizen of UAE. He is still called a general NRI only.
He's an NRI.
Yeah, so he can still invest the money in India. Now a person coming and investing from Europe or USA, okay, has a slightly different set of rules, and a person from UAE has a different set of rules. A person from USA has a particular upper cap. Now if you see the accounting standards of US of a particular individual, now his global income or global property valuation is considered as his annual audit report or annual profit and loss statement or annual returns in USA.
Okay.
But that is not the case in UAE. In UAE, he still has to own and have the PAN number of India only. So the transactions are of totally different nature. The person having from UAE is still more easier to transact than a person from Europe or USA has to transact within India.
So no, but can he transact his property from the following country? Like for example, if he is based out of US, can he transact his Indian property being in US?
Yes, he can. He has
Okay.
to particularly complete two formalities, one related to Reserve Bank of India, another related to FEMA, that is a foreign exchange regulations.
Okay.
If both the things he is complying with, then he can do the transaction.
So you've spoken about FEMA.
Yeah.
So can you stress more on FEMA, because we need to know that how does the institution on a whole work? For example, we are aware of how the Reserve Bank of India works, but when it comes to a FEMA, can you give us a bright understanding?
Yeah, the government of India has put an upper cap. There are regulations of transacting and transferring money to and fro within country and outside the country.
Perfect.
So FEMA is one such regulations which is controlled by the finance ministry.
Perfect.
And it regulates the transaction of money within India and outside India.
Okay.
So everyone has to go through that process if the amount exceeds more than $1,25,000.
But is this applied for the citizens of UAE too?
No, it is not, unless until there is a huge transaction or money which is transferring from India outside to UAE. Then he has to go through the procedure.
Okay. In case of an NRI's death or an investor's death, can the family or the blood relation claim the property?
But I'll tell you what is the procedure for that.
Correct.
Supposedly a person expires here in India,
Okay.
and the legal heir stays in USA. Then the person has to travel here to India. Now there are three types of documents that the person may have to comply with.
Okay.
And either of the three is good enough to transact the property in the name of the legal heir.
There are three documents that need to be present when you claim the property. Yes, sir. Carry on.
These are either of the three documents and not all of the three documents.
Okay.
One is called a letter of administration. One
Letter
is called
of
a
administration.
letter of administration. Second is called a succession certificate.
The succession certificate.
And third is called the will.
The will.
Yeah. Either of the three documents can be transacted, and then through this document only you can get the property in your name.
Can you talk about the succession certificate?
See, basically in the succession certificate and a letter of administration,
Correct.
it's of slightly similar nature, where you are taking all the properties under one umbrella and going to the court and telling that this is what are the properties of my father or mother.
Correct.
Okay. And then the court ascertains that you are the only legal heir or you are one of the legal heirs. If only you are the only legal heir, then it is obviously going to come in your name only.
Correct.
But if you are one of the legal heirs, then the court may tell that you please call upon the other legal heir also to come and attend this. So the court issues notice to all the other legal heirs
So
also.
the Indian court is going to play a role in this?
Absolutely. See, the jurisdiction works how? I'll tell you. Where the property is, that is the area of jurisdiction. Where physically the property is. So supposedly the property is in Mumbai or India. Supposedly the property would have been USA. Then the jurisdiction would be of the USA. So that's how it works out. The property where it is physically present, that's the jurisdiction in which the transaction and the courts play a role in that area.
We're going to take a short break and we're going to be back. Stay tuned on Spin TV. We'll be back with NRI investments. And one of the son is residing abroad. So how is the son who is residing in abroad claim over the property?
The original will
Correct.
would play a very important role, that it is lying with whom today.
Welcome back. We are with the managing partner of Solis's Lex, none other than Mr. Ameet Mehta. So for claiming a property, does the investor's beneficiary certainly be an NRI?
No, that's not necessary.
No, right?
If supposedly the person is staying outside India, but he is the only legal heir or one of the legal heirs, his say is anyway going to be required. In either, suppose he is the only person, still his say is required in writing that he is the only legal heir. And if it is one of the legal heirs, then all the legal heirs either have to give the no objection certificate in favor of one person, or else they have to equally divide amongst themselves.
So now in case of a will, for example, he has two sons. You know, after he's passed away, he's given 50-50 and one of the son is residing abroad. So how is the son who is residing in abroad claim over the property?
The original will
Correct.
would play a very important role, that it is lying with whom today. Now there is always called an executor of the will.
Correct.
Possibly a family doctor, a family CA, a family advocate, or someone who is a senior in the family would normally be an executor of the will.
Correct.
So the executor of the will calls upon all the legal heirs in a particular meeting.
Correct.
And he opens the will in front of all the legal heirs and tells them that this is the will which has been written by your father or mother.
Correct.
And this is how we are going to go about. And then if someone wants to challenge the will, they can go to the court and challenge the will.
Okay.
But generally, the will is normally certified, written by the handwriting and the signature of the original person who has written the will. So normally you would not find a lot of problems as far as execution of will is concerned.
Correct. So, you know, like I started off the show stating that 80% of the NRIs only from the Gulf are looking for properties in India, preferably Bangalore and Bombay being the choicest places. So, as per you, you've been an industry veteran. can you also give us an depth about how and from where are the investors more anticipating to buy a property in India? Which are the areas that they preferably choose for?
Yeah. That's a very good question, because a person who is staying in Gulf, there are a lot of chances for him to return back to India.
India,
But the person who is staying in USA or Europe, the chance of him returning back is less. So what happens, the NRIs who are in these countries, which is around India, like Gulf is there, maybe in Singapore is there, or maybe Hong Kong is there.
Correct.
So the people who think they are actually likely to return back to the country again. But there are certain people who are far off in Europe or USA are thinking that they are not likely to return to the country. So they do the invest in that country where they are residing today. But the people who are staying in Gulf or countries around the India, they would actually think that they are likely to return to India and they would likely to invest in India.
No, sir, I'm talking about the investors who are in Europe, who want to buy a property in India. What are the most preferred areas that they are more keen on in buying a property?
There are A and B category of cities in the country.
Correct.
A categories are the metros, like Mumbai, Delhi, Chennai, Calcutta. And B categories are cities like Bangalore, Ahmedabad, Jaipur, Gurgaon. These are the B category of cities. Most of the people who are today investing are in B category, not A category.
Correct.
Because A category is now saturated. You only find buildings which are going on redevelopment or properties which are redeveloped. But in B categories, there are a lot of greenfield venture where people want to invest money. And they're looking at long term. So if you would recently heard that the present government has allowed 100 smart cities.
Correct.
So of the 100 smart cities, 4 may be the metros. But there are 96 other smart cities which are going to be there in the country. So NRIs would prefer this B category of cities or these smart cities where they want to park their money today.
Dear viewers, previously we have also had a talk with Mr. Ameet Mehta on the issue of self-redevelopment. So I am going to get redevelopment also as an aspect in this. So, can NRIs invest in a redevelopment property that's based out in India?
Absolutely. Redevelopment property is nothing but it's a redevelopment of an old building.
Correct.
And is going to have a certain sale component.
Absolutely.
On the extra floors.
Correct.
So NRI can easily invest in these buildings also, which is redeveloped buildings.
And can he have a take on selling of the properties in case if he wants to sell the redevelopment property, the redeveloped flat that he's staying in case if he wants to sell, what are the procedures that he has to go through? Is it the same procedure
It is
of
absolutely
buying?
the same procedure. There is no iota of difference. It has to go through a regular transaction. A buyer and seller comes back together. They go to sub-registrar's office, pay the consideration, and the new buyer gets the flat in his name.
What if an NRI is not interested in a flat, is not interested in an apartment, but is interested in buying a land? How is he going to play a major role there? And what are the kinds of legalities and formalities that he is going to go through when he wants to buy a land, including the agricultural land, including if he wants something like an agricultural land?
See, there are separate transactions altogether as far as buying land is concerned or buying a flat is concerned.
Correct.
If you're going to buy a land, then you have to have a title certificate of that plot.
Okay.
Suppose I am going to buy a plot in a district which is in a panchayat or which is far off from a city.
Okay.
I need to have a Satbara Utara. It's called a 7-12 extract.
Correct.
That is the transaction details of that particular plot which has happened over a period of time.
Okay.
Then he has to have a title certificate that as of today, who is the owner of that plot. So we normally do a title search of about 40 or 50 years of that entire plot in during the lifetime of that plot.
Absolutely.
So in a 50 years transaction, you would come to know that there could be 3 or 4 transactions which have happened.
Okay.
Yeah, that is then. Then secondly, you need to see the conveyance deed. That the original conveyance deed is in whose name today. There could be a possibility that you execute a conveyance deed, but you have not put your name in the property registration card.
Correct.
So these are two separate formalities altogether.
Correct.
So you should see in whose name is the conveyance deed as of today. Then you have to see whether that particular transaction, which was the earlier transaction, the person who was the owner has paid stamp duty and has registered document. If someone he has not paid the stamp duty, then the present owner who is going to buy the property, he'll have to pay the stamp duty with penalty.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are some of the key important aspects and documents which
So now that you brought stamp duty also into picture, so what are the kinds of process he has to go when he is actually applying for a SDR, a stamp duty registration?
No, he has to take the entire possession of the chain of documents. Chain of documents plays a very, very important role while you are buying a particular property, especially a plot. Because the chain of documents ascertains and certifies that you have there have been certain owners in past, and then the person who is going to be owner should get a clean property. So suppose you have 3 or 4 transactions.
Correct.
Those are called the chain of documents.
Correct.
And these chain of documents have to be in possession of the new owner, all originals.
Correct.
And if there is no possession of original with the new owner, then he has to give public notice that one of the originals has been missing.
Okay.
So public notice is very important aspect as far as the plot owner is concerned while buying a plot. because the public notice may actually ascertain that you are getting some no objections or objections for certain set of people, and that would make your property more cleaner.
So, when it comes to NRIs and builders, I'm coming to a different segment. When it comes to NRIs and builders, how is the process of coordination when he buys a flat if he's in a different, for example, if the NRI is based out of Europe, what is the kind of process he has to go with?
The person who is staying abroad but wants to buy a property in the country,
Correct.
he should set up a online transaction mode with the developer. He would be having certain slabs of payment, or maybe slab 1, slab 2, slab 3, like this. So a couple of slabs are there, then he may be paying something when he is receiving the CC, something at the plinth level, something at the OC level.
Correct.
And then all these amounts are transferred on a slab basis, on a monthly or maybe quarterly basis.
Correct.
And that is through ECS transfer.
Okay.
So he signs the ECS form with the developer, and the transaction done through the bank. So both the parties, banks are involved in this transaction.
We have spoken about NRI and investment in an apartment and in a land. So now, have you come across a case where an NRI wants to open up a real estate firm in India?
Yes, we have come across a lot of people who wants to start business in India.
Wonderful.
They can jolly well invest in India and start a business in India, but there are certain RBI related formalities which are mandatory.
Correct.
So if you're an NRI staying abroad, if you're staying in say UAE example,
Correct.
then you have to send an application to the Reserve Bank of India.
Correct.
That why you want to invest in India, what is the reasons and objective of this business,
Correct.
and what is the amount that you're going to transfer to India.
Correct.
That is going to be the main bone of contention.
Absolutely.
So if you're, say example, transferring 1 or 2 crores, then you have to follow the particular procedure of transferring that money into the country, and then you have to abide by the rules and regulations. If you're sending money of say example 1 crore, then how much amount you can take out also. For that also there is a cap.
Okay.
So it all depends upon how much you're going to invest, and then through Reserve Bank of India you can transact and take that money out of the country also. Once a person is buying a property in India, he should put the nominee name.
That's where the nominee comes in place.
Yes.
All right.
He should put the name of the nominee in all the transactions.
Correct.
So one is the nominee or second is the second name.
Well, what if an NRI wants to partner with an Indian developer and open up a business? What are the kind of formalities he has to go through?
See, the real estate industry in India is not yet opened so much. So
Okay.
if a person wants to invest in India, he cannot be a major stakeholder, he can be a minority stakeholder.
Correct.
So he has to be less than 50%. So if I am having a person who wants to invest say 50 lakhs, okay. So the person with whom he is going to invest, that person has to have more capital in the
Okay.
in India.
Okay.
So it is highly regulated market, and he cannot be a major stakeholder. He can be minor stakeholder.
So he can be a minor stakeholder. Like for example, if we talk of a brand, like let's take your brand, Solis Alex. If in case the person wants to invest, so he needs to be a major stakeholder in your brand, or he can part get over it.
Yeah.
How does this work?
See, Solis Alex may be not a right example. The reason because
No, I didn't want to quote any developer's name.
I do understand.
Yes.
But why I wish to clarify, because we being law firm, the legal field is not open now for outsiders.
Correct.
It's not yet. The rule has not yet come.
Correct.
So there has to be 100% ownership in India. But as far as real estate is concerned, the person can invest up to 49% in India,
Correct.
and then he can take over the minor stake. So anything less than 50% is okay for a person to take over the stake in India.
So now, for an example, if the NRI, his children, want to take a case in the property, as the aging process goes by, if his children want a part in the property, how can they play a role when it comes to buying of a property in India?
Yeah. Once a person is buying a property in India, he should put the nominee name.
That's where the nominee comes in place.
Yes.
All right.
He should put the name of the nominee in all the transactions.
Correct.
So one is the nominee or second is the second name.
Correct.
A minor cannot be a second name in the agreement. So
Okay.
he has to be either entered through the nominee route, or maybe he should have a will, where in the will you are mentioning that this person will be owning the property, or maybe major owner or stakeholder in that particular property.
So can you also give us examples of NRIs who are facing problem, especially I'm in more than NRIs facing a problem, the countries where NRIs are based out of are facing problem coming to India. Which are those specific countries? So through this show we can reach out to these viewers and we can make it much more easier. We can make their lives much more easier.
I think there is very important aspect as far as NRI investment is concerned in India. I have seen in the last possibly 1.5 year where NRIs are cheated. When the person is
Okay.
transferring money to the country, he is not getting what he actually wanted to.
Okay.
He is either misguided,
Okay.
or he has not uses the right people to guide him or a consultant, maybe advocate or a chartered accountant
Okay.
or architect through whom he wanting to buy some property.
Correct.
So it is very important that a due diligence is done of the property, because there have been a lot of cheating cases where NRIs are spending money in lakhs and crores and they are not getting what they desire to get.
Correct.
So one important aspect is you choose a right project, do a proper due diligence on that project.
Correct.
You
A
check
proper
out
research.
Yeah, proper research. You check out who is the owner of the project. You check out what is the background of the developer. You check out whether there are litigation history, OC certificates of previous projects.
Correct.
I think these are some important points that a person should focus on before he enters into transaction with that particular developer. Because transact in India has never been a very easy task.
Correct.
Some of the important aspects which an NRI needs to remember. One is follow the guidelines of Reserve Bank of India. That's very important. You may get stuck up in unnecessary cases.
Correct.
Follow the rules of FEMA, because the finance ministry plays a very important role when you're sending money within India or sending money outside India. The third important is due diligence of a property. When you're going to transact in India, please properly study the project, study the owners who are executing the project, and ensure that what is marketed is actually delivered also. There's one more important point is I would like to highlight, is that lately in the last 1 year we have found some of the developers, maybe who are not maybe C category of developers, they have sold one flat to two people.
Oh, okay.
One who is
It's a
actually
double sale.
it's a double sale, which is clearly cheating or fraud. So we have found such cases also. And the fifth and most important is the compliances of each project has to be studied in its entirety. You need to know whether the building has got a building plan approved.
Correct.
You need to check whether a IOD, there is an intimation of disapproval or intimation of approval, has been received from a local municipal corporation. You need to check whether a commencement certificate, that is that the municipality has allowed the promoter or developer to commence the project. That is third aspect. And fourth is the occupation certificate, whether it is now safe enough to occupy this flat or project.
Correct.
So these are some important aspects that NRI needs to actually see, because an NRI is going to monitor his transactions from a satellite area.
Correct.
He is not going to be physically present in the country.
Correct.
So that is very important, that how he is going to monitor his transactions. So either he regularly be in touch with the staff of the developer, or he has someone who represents him in the country, who goes and physically goes and checks the project
And checks
at the site.
project. So, well, our dear viewers, our NRI viewers, I must tell you that, these are the following points you need to take into consideration. And these are very, very important points. Firstly, you need to study the Reserve Bank of India, or you need to study FEMA. These are very, very important guidelines in your life before you invest in India. Next, you need to have a thorough study on the developers. You never know what a developer can do to you. Yes, he can be at your good cause, he can be at your bad cause, but you need to be vigilant, dear viewers. Next, you need to study about the certificates, the IOD, CC, and also, the past and the financial statements of a developer. And last but not the least, before you invest, make sure that you have some member in the country, some member in India who can help you and give you details to make a safe investments. So before we end the show, I must only tell you, NRIs, be safe, be vigilant, and happy investments. Sir, would you like to add some more before we end the show?
I think please give enough time and space before investing. Please don't be in a hurry, because if you are not able to invest in this project, you can always invest in another project.
So a thumb rule, be patient. Dear viewers, be very, very patient.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right, dear viewers, this takes us to the end of our show on NRI investments. If you have any queries, doubts, please call us on the number at the bottom of our screens, or mail us on the email ID at the bottom of our screens. Stay connected with us. Stay connected on Spin TV. We are going to get you back some more exciting topics for you to live a happy life. Take care. Goodbye. God bless.